This week on the podcast, Carrie's taking us through the final days of her adventures by Disney. You don't want to miss how this trip ended. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Picture
it. Oh, are you going to start again? Oh, good grief.
Oh, good grief. This is how we start a podcast, Carrie. There was an there was a, what are we going to say to open? And then we talk all over each other. So, hi, pal.
Hi.
How are you?
Long time no talk.
So for everyone listening, we are into part 2 of Carrie's. So it's really like a 3-parter, but a 2-parter, because the first episode we just talked about Adventures by Disney.
Yeah.
Like just the service, the like how it works. Part 2 was really, where did you go? What did you experience? Mm-hmm. Without Pixie Dust, because of course we did not record Pixie Dust. So, which, you know, goes against the whole Pixie Dust Fan Podcast.
We've done it maybe once before.
Because everybody listening, like for them, this is 2 weeks. For us, this is 1 day. So we're now on to part 3 of Carrie's adventure in Sicily.
Uh-huh.
And we are on, when we left off last week, we were on the end of day 3.
Right. So we're in Ortigia.
We're in Ortigia. And Carrie has been describing things in her great Italian accent now. Carrie was doing a little studying of Italian before she left.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, she tried.
So one thing so we stayed 2 nights here, and it was the Grand Hotel Ortigia. And this hotel, it was a very luxurious hotel with very amazing amenities, a rooftop restaurant where we had breakfast that overlooked the sea, and you could see cruise ships in the harbor, and it was just
that sounds
stunning.
So beautiful.
But and again, the amenities, beautiful, right? Like, yeah. But this hotel, and we got dropped off in Syracuse. We had to walk across to go, because our hotel was on the island, and they picked a hotel that was only a couple minutes of walk away. So we get off the bus, a van comes up, takes all of our bags off the bus, and brings our bags to the hotel. We have to walk to the hotel. So this hotel is, again, probably someone's mansion way back in the old days or whatever. And it is beautiful. But the decor of it is it's kind of stuck in a time warp. So the amenities are there, and it's beautiful, and it's luxurious in its own way, but it was probably very luxurious, like years and years and years ago. It was very comfortable. It was lots of amenities, but like it was just very weird. Like it was like very mismatched in the decor. And it looked like a bunch of old stuff, a few new things. Like our room was 2 stories high. So when we walked in, we had a little seating area, washroom. And then we went upstairs where there was beds.
Oh, nice.
And like metal stairs and beds. And like in the hallway outside of our room, they had ginormous pieces of furniture, wooden furniture, probably so old and very important and whatever.
Like in the hall?
In the hallway, like big, like armoire type things that were like almost like like this, like it was 2-story floor, the floor that we were on. Like, so it's kind of funny that like maybe they picked it because it was close to like the walk. They don't want to inconvenience us and make us walk 20 minutes. So we whatever. And it is a 5-star hotel. Like it's not that it isn't, I guess. Like the amenities check all the boxes. It's just that it's like very mismatched old decor. Decorations, pillows, linens, pieces of furniture in the rooms and the halls and whatever. And all that, like, and I think I've thought it through since then. Like, I think that they could have kept all that, most of that old stuff if they would have refreshed maybe some of the materials. But like, if they would have just taken off, wallpaper and painted like a gray or a white, or even put up like new funkier wallpaper, like it was just, it was just like too many old, like cheesy, like almost like if your grandma's house when you were in, in the 90s and you went to your grandma's house from the 50s. It was sort of, that's a sort of what it was.
Very different from the other hotels that you had stayed in.
But still, like, walk in, marble everywhere. Like, I'm not saying it fit, it checked most of the boxes. It was just like, to your eye, certain parts of it was very interesting. Like, and maybe that's just the way that it is. But it was comfortable. Had everything we needed. But it was just not like the last two that we had stayed at. And we kind of chuckled and giggled and kind of like imagined what they could do and what they just needed to do to make it either all like gel together almost. I think they could leave all of the old stuff in there. They just needed to like neutralize the other stuff, like the walls and like the pillows on the couch or whatever.
Interesting.
They just needed to do that. But that was we saw that, we're like, well, this is interesting. But very comfortable, but just awesome. Just kind of dated and
yes. Now, if you have not listened, I'm going to stop there. If you have not listened to last week's episode, you want to make sure to go back and listen to that, because some of those hotels sound absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. And Carrie's given a great sort of step-by-step through the first 3 days in Sicily. So okay. So now you're in the hotel that looks, it's 5-star, top-notch. Decor could use a little zhuzhing.
Yes.
Okay.
So then we left and we went back out to the bus, and we went to like an archaeological park that had like Greek ruins, like Greek and Roman, like a theater, and we got a tour of that, which was interesting. Mm-hmm. There was definitely certain parts of
like, did you have to climb all those stairs?
Well, this one wasn't so bad. The theater that they had there wasn't a working theater, like, so it was more just really seeing ruins. So we walked through paths to see different old like ruins, and like they had like almost like a little like Colosseum type ruin, and they had the theater, and then they had these like we went into these caves, and that's the part like when caves, yes. So they have these caves that we could walk through. And the part that was interesting about this day, because again, we saw, as we go on, we see other ruins like this that might have been, we enjoyed a little bit more. But the story behind these caves is they talk about how they were dug, and they were dug they had slaves dig them. And then they pretty much left the slaves in the caves, and it was like
to die in the caves.
Like so that like they threw them little bits of food and little bits of water, so they barely survived, but enough that they could dig these caves or whatever. So like,
oh my gosh, how horrible!
Yeah, that part where they were again, we have a guide that's telling us so much stuff, the history, again, the whole history of everything. Like, we're hearing it nonstop. The minute we get there, this guide's talking and explaining every little bit of this walk that we're going on.
And let's clarify, this is not a Disney-fied guide. They don't make magic and rainbows out of the stories. They're telling you the true history.
Yeah. You're there to learn. You're there
to learn. This is like, not a sugar-coated, pixie-dusted history. This is true history.
Telling you stories and giving you time to reflect and understand and think about things. Like, that's what this is all about. Like, this is an adventure, and this is to enrich your life and to help you learn about where you are. And like, so when the day was done and I didn't feel like that was our first hot day. Like, it was the nice weather that was mild from before was gone, and that was a hot day. So it was a hot day around this park. Probably should have drank a little bit more water because it was so hot. And this was one thing that at first we thought, oh my goodness, like, we've been spending days going through these archaeological things. Like, do we need to go here? Right? Like, yeah. Like, this, we're thinking in our head, this is one that we could probably skip, should take, like, do we need to do this? But that moment of that story and what we learned while we were in those caves made it worth it. Right? Like, what we learned about that and the history was like, that's why I want to keep that in the tour, because that part was so interesting to understand. Like, so that, like, even though we saw more, we wouldn't take that part away, because that, like, what we learned, like what we saw stuff like that, and bigger and grandiose, and like, the spoiler alert, my last stop was amazing.
Right.
The theater we saw there, best theater ever. But we would not want to take that away, because what we learned that day. Like,
right. And it's important to say that this was the very first Adventures by Disney in Italy. So
in Sicily, the first one they ever did.
The first one in Sicily. But they did ask you, because this is their first one, there was talk about what should stay in it, because it was a jam-packed itinerary. So that's why you keep saying, like, I wouldn't take this out. I wouldn't take this out.
Yeah.
Because like, you actually got a whole bunch of stuff that maybe when they start fine tuning, there will be things that they might take out.
Yeah. And the adventure, the adventures that were on it, that have been on many before, many of them had said, like, this is jam packed. Like, they got a little bit too much going on. Like, they need to take a few things out to just make it just right. Like, that was a consensus from the people that had been on many of them. Right. Yeah, that's what they were. So
this one, you're saying now, after learning what you learned in those caves, you would leave that in.
We wouldn't take it back. And we're glad we could have stayed back at the hotel and not went, because it was only just a little day trip. Yeah. From, like, it was just very close to where we were staying, and we could have skipped it altogether, going, oh, well, what are we going to do? We're going to see another.
Right. You know, we're going to see some more ruins and be after the mud hotel or the mud place.
Yeah, like, really,
you'd
after
be like,
you went to that wonderful village and you go to the, exactly. Like, we do, but my mom and I both said that, like, we wouldn't have traded that in for what we learned that day. So, like, the learning of that experience made it way worth it, even though it was a lot of walking. It was, you know, seeing a lot of the other stuff. We heard all the stories, but it was the learning that was the most important in that situation. So anyway, so we did that. I did see some cats there too, just in case if anybody's counting.
And then cats.
We went back to where we were staying. Then we went back to where we were staying, and we did sort of like a walk through the town, and we ended up in the piazza to have pizza. So, which was like, you think, again, when you're sitting in this piazza and you're at a little pizzeria type restaurant, and you're looking out and you're like, and you know what, I haven't been anywhere in the world other than Disney's and places in North America, really. And you're like sitting in this piazza, beautiful weather, Italian flags, European Union flags flowing, skies blue, marble everywhere, you know, ruins, churches all around you, the most perfect piazza. You're like, boy, Caesar's Palace in Vegas really got it right. You're like, boy, they did a good job. Because this is what it looks like. The Venetian in Vegas.
They did okay.
Boy, they know how to recreate this stuff pretty darn well. Because that's, you know, it's not the same. But
in a pinch. In a pinch if you can't get there. So how was the pizza?
It was delicious. Yeah. They again,
like, as delicious as you would expect.
It's as expected as Italian pizza should be. Yeah, it was very good, and they and this is they swoop you in, they sit you down. You know, who wants beer, who wants water, who wants soda and wine. They bring out a bunch of pizzas for us to try, and we just sit there and enjoy and not have a worry in the world. We just eat.
Nice.
They brought us out French fries, because I think when someone said, you know, joked about wanting some French fries, so they brought us out French fries, and they brought us out pizzas. Anyway, so we sat there for quite a while, just enjoying, no rush, just enjoying, because they space it all out. Like, they give ample time for us to really. You
didn't feel like you were rushed.
There's never a time where we're feeling rushed for anything. Like, they give us ample time to have our meals, and they want us to chit chat and get to know each other and get to know them and whatever. So it's just a whole lot of.
But you didn't feel like you were hanging around too long either. Like, it was almost like the perfect time.
And then they we were going to go for a walk, and then I heard they were bringing out gelato, and I was like, oh, we're going to just stick around for a little bit longer.
No walk for me. I'm waiting on the gelato.
So when we were done that's when we made puppets. So we had in Italy, it's called a pupi. So we had a poopy party that day, which our Italian guide in the beginning said a poopy party, and everyone giggles. And then, but she doesn't really remember that poopy is poopy. She just thinks that poopy's a puppet. So she says poopy all the time, and everyone's like kind of laughing and joking and teasing her. But she doesn't think as poopy the way we think of poopy. She thinks that poopy is a puppet. So why are you laughing at me, type of thing. So anyway, so we went to a puppet theater and a puppet workshop, and we got to watch a puppet show, which was really cool.
Right.
And then we got to make a puppet. So we watched the puppet show, and the best part about making the puppet really was that we got to get we got really close to see some puppets. So we watched the puppet show, and then they brought us up where the theater was, and we could lift the puppets and try to do them ourselves. And then we kind of walked off the stage, and then they walked us down a couple of side streets to where the puppet place was, where we made the puppets. But they had all kinds of puppets in there. So it was awesome to go in and take pictures of the puppets and really get a good look at these amazing puppets. And then we got to make a puppet. And when I say make a puppet, they had us like we had to like trace in the metal and cut it all out and do whatever, and then they pretty much assembled the puppet, because it probably would take us like a whole day to make a puppet. So we got to pick the color, we got to figure out what we wanted to put on the shields and everything on our puppet. We got to draw the face on the puppet, and then they went in like 2 seconds later, they're like, boom, 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 here's your puppet. So then
and you got to bring the puppet home.
And we got to bring home our ceramics we did the day before. They shipped them to the last stop so that we could bring them home, and because they gotta put in the kiln. And then the puppet, they threw our little poopies in a bag.
Nice.
And we were off.
Nice.
So that was cool. So then that night we had a sunset boat cruise, and my mom
Carrie stopped, because I'm reminding Carrie that in typical Italian fashion, Carrie's talking with her hands, and she was hitting her desk. So I don't
think that's me hitting my desk. That's probably me hitting something else.
Okay, it could be. So I was motioning to her with the hands, but she was looking at me like I'd lost my marbles.
Well, I knew you were telling me I was making noise. I knew that, because I didn't think you would tease me about. I don't think you tease me about moving my hands, because I always do. I was assuming it was because I was making noise. So, anyways, I'm gonna put my hands behind my back.
We'll see how long it lasts.
So after we had a sunset boat cruise at night, and I was thinking about not going, because my mom gets seasick in a pool. So, right.
And you're not very good on the water either, right?
I'm okay, generally in small boats. I usually don't have any problem on small boats, but yeah, cruise ships sometimes, most times. But anyways, but I decided to go on the sunset cruise. My mom stayed in the room to chill out, in our wonderful 2-story abode. So I'm glad I went on the sunset cruise. So they're just these little like flat boats we went on. There was like 4 or 5 of them set up to hold all of us. And we went through some caves, like in some grottos. We went into some grottos. That's what we went into, which was very cool, because
like when you hear about Ariel's grotto.
Yeah, pretty much. We went through some grottos, and we hung out like kind of in that area. Like it was very like lots of cliffs and whatever. We could see the city up top, and it was really neat. So we went out that way and we hung out, and they had drinks and wine and whatever. So we everyone was toasting, and they pulled all the boats up together so we could all get pictures together, and we just chit-chatted and had fun, got to know each other a little bit more. And then we kept driving, and we went into a dock, and we figured like, okay, well, maybe that's, what are we going to do? We picking somebody up or, whatever. They brought like a whole charcuterie board dinner to our boat. So they laid it all out, and then we went and kind of went around the island to the other side to watch the sunset. So we had our little charcuterie boards. We, again, for the sunset, got all of our boats together so we could all, like, pretty much we were side by side, all these boats, so that we could kind of chit chat and laugh and take pictures and do all that stuff. And we watched the sunset, and then went back to the dock.
Wow.
Went back. It was awesome. It was good, because we got to, like, the group that was with us on the boat, we got to know them a little bit better. Like, those are the, we tried to sit with different people at lunchtime, because it's only the 2 of us and we don't know anybody. So we tried to sit with different people. And yeah, the people, I got to know the people that were on that boat a little bit better. So it was a lot of fun. Lots of giggling, lots of picture taking, and charcuterie and olives and cheese and bread. And
And I'm sure like fresh and delicious and
yeah, like they just like the people that organized the boat tours, they pulled up and they had it already, like a whole layout that they just brought out on the boat.
Sounds amazing.
So that was a surprise. We had no idea because we're supposed like they've made dining reservations for everybody for when they get done, for people that have dinner when we were
like when you get off the boat, right?
So we didn't know that we were gonna have.
That's fun.
But it was really cool. So I was glad that I went on that. Yeah. And again I got to know some of the folks a little bit better. And then on the way back I went and got my mom some dinner. So I wasn't hungry. And then that was the end of the day. I got her some takeout.
Nice. Oh, that's fun. And
it was easy. Like I found generally, like I know how to, like, I could talk a little bit and probably do okay ordering things, but like everybody, because it's so touristy,
like it wasn't hard for you to communicate.
Not at all. I tried to speak Italian the best I could, and I tried to be polite and thank them and do all the the stuff that they like to do, right? But
nice.
Anyways, so that was that day.
So that's day 4.
That was day 4. Yeah.
So now we're on day 5.
The poopy.
Carrie's looking at her poopy pictures.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So day 5 was the day that we went to Mount Etna, or Mama Etna, as they call it. So Mount Etna is like the most active volcano in Europe. Like it and really, like the day that we arrived in Italy, it had erupted. Like it erupts all the time. So like seriously, and everybody,
so it's not like new news if it erupts.
And everybody that was on the ABDs, like everybody was messaging them. People were messaging my mom. Like everybody was messaging everybody on the thing, asking if everything was okay. Is your trip going to be canceled? Is everything going to be good? And really the guides say like the best thing that you could ever have is to see like to be there when it has erupted, and maybe you see some like a little tiny hint of like something trickling or whatever. But yeah, it was all good. It was still a little smoky at the top when we were there, and there was still snow at the top, which there would never be snow at this time of the year for sure. So because it had been so mild, or like I guess it's probably should have been warmer by then. I don't know, like it should have been gone, but there usually is snow, but it's usually long gone. So
by the time that you were there.
Yeah, by the time we're there shouldn't have been any. So we got to see snow on top. So my the Mount Etna was mostly like they put us in like off-road vehicles, and then we were like, oh my goodness, what are they going to put us in? These were like Range Rover vehicles, those types of land whatever car, like SUVs or whatever. But it was still in those nice vehicles. It was still a very, 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 very bumpy ride. So like they kind of drive us up the mountain, like first through all kinds of towns, and then get up the mountain to to closer to Etna. But when we're going up the mountain, they're like, it's really, really neat. Like once you get through the towns, it's just piles and piles and hills of like old lava. Black like lava. And it's funny, like when you're driving through them, they'll be like, that's the eruption of 1972, that's the eruption of whatever, that's the eruption of whatever, because the way that it flowed, I guess, would have all been in one area or whatever. But like trees have grown out of these things, pine trees and growth and whatever has grown. It's mostly still like,
it's amazing what like that's kind of the epitome when you're looking at something like that and what Mother Nature can do. Like to see lava like hardened and old and then trees growing out of it.
Yeah, like so bizarre. Yeah. So we go through once we get out of lots of towns and villages on the lower level, once we get up to that level, that threshold, it's really just driving through like a park and seeing all of the different lava, like hills and hills of just lava. It was pretty amazing. And so on the way up, we went into some like lava tubes. So I actually did that. My mom didn't do that.
What's a lava tube?
So a lava tube is like they put a hard hat on us, and we go like we go down like into the ground and walk through these, like they're tunnels that were formed by lava flow.
Oh wow!
When there was an eruption. Yeah.
But then, Carrie, you go in those things and you don't know if this volcano is going to go off again.
Well, I don't think they're old. They were created because of an old.
Yeah, but you don't know if it's going to like all of a sudden just like and go
be like that.
That's scary.
No, not really, because it's not going to happen in the same. If it blew up and something could happen that quick, it's not going to happen exactly through there. Probably, it's going to go a different way or do something different.
Maybe.
So it was kind of neat. We went down there, and it was like everything was.
Was it cold? I hear like it
was a little chilly, but it was like it was raining and dripping inside, and they said it was because of the condensation in the tunnel. So that was kind of neat. Like you think, is it dripping because there's water? But they were saying no, that's the condensation from inside the tunnel. But I went in, I put my hard hat on, I went down the steep stairs, and then you walk in and they just tell you a little bit about the history and how it, again, the guide that's there is telling us all about why it's there, how it's there, what everything is. We spent some time in there. We had to go down in groups because there was only so many that could go in there. And then we climbed up the other side, had like a rope, and you got to like walk up the steep incline and steps to get up. So I did that. I was kind of proud of myself.
That's amazing. Good for you.
I'm like, yeah, I don't have any energy to
good for you
to do stuff like that. But they did have a hike up. Like they did have a hike, and I didn't do that.
Oh, that's okay.
Because I don't think that I don't think I could have handled it. And when everybody was done, I knew that I probably wouldn't have been able to handle it and walk 300 steps a day.
Right.
So it would.
But not everybody does everything.
I know it's
okay. Like you get to pick what makes sense for you.
It was quite a hike, and like the incline and everything. I thought I don't know.
You could have ended up ruining the rest of your trip, right? Like something like that. When you push yourself too far on some things, then you end up ruining other days. So you made the right decision.
Yeah, so we didn't. So half of the group went up and did this trek, and then half of us didn't. So they brought us. They threw the rest of us in our SUVs, and we went down the mountain because we were going for lunch at a winery. And when we went down the mountain, they stopped at a point where we could take pictures with the Mama Vesuvius behind it, or Mama Vesuvius, Mama Etna behind us. Vesuvius is the other one. But there was this little house or whatever, and it was like a church or. It was a church, and it was the 1950 eruption. The eruption was coming down, and it broke through the wall of this church and stopped.
No, seriously?
So they brought us to
the lava went through the wall and then just stopped.
And we saw it. Yeah,
holy mackerel!
So you look into this little.
That's bizarre.
They look into this. They look into this. They have it so we can peek into whatever's left or whatever they built around it, and the walls, they've got it broken open, and you can see the lava, like the stuff we saw on all the hills when we were driving through, big piles of it, and it's just stuck there, and it stopped.
That's so bizarre.
So that was kind of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. And they just left it like that.
Well, because it was a miracle, or it stopped for a reason. Is the moral of the story.
That's amazing.
It was like, whoa, we're not gonna mess up this place. Put the brakes on. Anyways, so we went to a winery for lunch and had a beautiful meal. I even drank the wine the wine.
Oh my gosh.
It was delicious. And the beautiful winery, like beautiful, like they grow the grapes on like all different levels because it's on the side of a mountain, and they talk about how they would grow certain ones on certain levels based on, what they were going to do with the grapes or whatever, which was, again, always learning, like every single, like who would have thought that, and you look from the winery, you can see the sea and all the other little beautiful, like,
oh wow.
I never would have thought in a million years I'd like having lunch at a winery as much as I did.
Right.
And the food was delicious.
That's amazing.
That was that day. And then what did we do after that? And then that's where we were at the.
So is this day 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day 5. So we ended up in Taormina, which is the last stop on our tour. And this is Taormina is like the Sicilian French Riviera. It's very, very popular with tourism, and that's where that White Lotus show is space there. So
I
like,
don't even know this show that you
me
talked
neither.
of.
It's on
I don't know
HBO or
what it is.
something. But apparently people are going cuckoo over it because every season's in a different location. First season, I think, was in Hawaii. Second season was in Sicily. And then they're doing the third season somewhere else. But like, especially since that show, it's been even more popular for tourism than it ever was. But it's like, you know, on the side of the mountain, beautiful vistas. Like it looks like the French Riviera or just what you would dream of a seaside town to look like in the Mediterranean.
Nice.
And again, they park us at the one end because we can't come in on a bus, and we walk through the little town like full of like tourism stuff, local stuff, like Gucci stores, Prada, things like that, because it's touristy, right? Like it's like, you know, that type of stuff. And anyways, so we get to our hotel, and again, beautiful vistas, look out, the sea, everything. We can see absolutely
beautiful views.
Beautiful. Like there's a chaise in front of the door, beautiful amenities, like just that, all the amenities and comforts that we have seen with all of them. Like,
no Dyson hairdryer though in this.
No Dyson hairdryer, but still, like the location's unbelievable. And the amenities were like kind of, other than the Dyson hairdryer, the amenities were over the top. Like,
yeah,
it was really, really a beautiful place to stay. I think it was an NH something. I don't know, but it's a chain. Okay. It's a chain.
Okay.
Anyway, so from there, this is probably my second favorite thing. It's hard to tell if this is the favorite thing or if the staying at that Villa Athena was the favorite thing. But we went to up on the hill in Taormina. Like you see, even higher up than you look up to the one side and you see like the top of the hill, and there is a Greek theater up there, Teatro Greco or Greco or whatever it's called. It's a Greek theater, and we went in and again had a tour guide, she explaining everything, whatever. And we like, this is an actual old Greek theater, but it's operational. Like they all summer long, they have concerts, operas, whatever there. So when we were in, someone was practicing, they were tuning up pianos, getting ready for whatever was happening next. And when you're at the top of this theater, you see all of Taormina. You see this beautiful Greek theater, like the ruins of it, and the new theater right in front of you. You see the sea, and you see Mount Etna in the background. It is the most beautiful thing I've ever laid my eyes on.
Oh,
Carrie. And it was amazing. Like that,
and that's the picture you
that's the picture on the show art for the
for the Adventures by Disney episode. That's you in front of that, inside that. Yeah,
it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Like,
and I'm sure the pictures don't do it justice. Like to see it with your own eyeballs,
to see all of it. To see you could see everything like in all in one picture. The fact that you can see the sea, you can see the volcano that is the the everything to this area, like to this island, and the history. Like I think it's a 2,000-year-old Greek theater. Wow. Like what's a Greek theater doing there when it's been when it's an Arab rule and Roman rule? And I think they said like it had like over the years it had like as different reigns over the island, like it had changed. So like there's all different different bits and pieces or whatever ones. It's so like I could sit and research and read up and remember like a lot of the stuff they told us. Is just so much of it. It's hard to I have to really think. What was what and what we learned about what. But that was like, so that was a pretty busy day, going from like hotel to Mount Etna, hiking, cappuccino stop. People went up into the hike. We went into the tunnels, going to a winery, and then
that's a jam-packed day.
Getting to Taormina and doing that and doing the little walk up the hill to go into this park or whatever to see the Greek theater. And then again, we're pretty much done before sunset. Like we're done before dinner time, like 6 o'clock-ish, and then we have the evening.
Wow.
To ourselves. So again, I went to find like a little mom and pop place to get some
takeout food and take it back to her. Nice. Okay, so that's the end of day 5.
I don't know which day it is.
Okay,
this one is my very last my last full day on the adventure. So we're in Taormina.
Got it.
So in Taormina we were supposed to go to like this beautiful area that's like, I'm trying to think of what it would be called. It's like we were supposed to go on a boat and go to these caves and go to like a very picturesque area where people could scuba dive and whatever. Okay. Like not scuba dive, snorkel and whatever. And I think it's sort of might have been over where that TV show, the White Lotus, had been filmed. So like people very excited to go to this.
Everybody's but again, my mom excited.
My like they want to go to that area because that's kind of reminiscent or whatever of that show. But my mom, again, with the boat thing, like I wasn't going to go at all because I didn't want to leave my mom too on the last day. And I wasn't, whatever, like whatever. I just didn't want to, I wasn't going to go. And so, but I said to them at breakfast, the adventure guides, that my mom wanted to go put her toes in the sea. So they reorganized the way that we could get to the sea to go do that. So the hotel and the guides figured out how to get us over. So we went to another town, like it was probably a 15 or so minute drive away. We went to another town and we went to a beach. What do they call it? Like not a hotel, but it's like, you know how they have the beaches where you can pay for the day and go in and restaurants and whatever. We went to one of those and we paid our money to get in for the day, $20 or something like that. And I think the $20 included our ride over. And we just sat, and they got chairs right up front, and we sat by the ocean and we collected stones and we went in the water and we took pictures and we just kind of relaxed for
what
pretty
a
much the
wonderful
whole morning.
Day. Mm-hmm. Oh, that sounds so. You sent me some pictures from that morning,
mm-hmm.
and you guys look so happy and so relaxed.
Yeah, it was awesome. We took lots of pictures and when people watched a lot. And then when we left, I think they thought we were a little crazy that we weren't staying there for the whole day. Mm-hmm. But then we just went back and kind of hung around, did a little bit of shopping in the town, and then waited for our farewell dinner, which was at a restaurant that was just on the edge of the city and had the most beautiful views of the sea. Like, again, the most perfect place you could think to have a dinner, like open air, looking over the sea. They had Italian singers there, opera / like accordion playing, singing songs, joking with everybody, dancing with people, singing songs about, every lady that they sang a song to, they asked what her name was, and they said, "Oh, Maria," because everyone they sang to was Maria. But like an amazing night, and that was our goodbye dinner. And when we got back to the hotel, they actually walked us into, well, no, we did that before the dinner. Before the dinner, we were supposed to go they're getting taxis for us to go over to the dinner. And they brought us into a conference room, and they showed us like all kinds of pictures. They put together a slideshow of the week, and they asked us what are some of us to say what our favorite things and our memories were. And then we got in our vehicles and we went to the dinner, which, like I said, is like, you couldn't ask for a more perfect fitting ending to the trip. Anything, for any type of meal, for a perfect ending, for whatever, just the most beautiful place ever. So, and that was pretty much it. The next day we woke up, we had later flights. Everybody had earlier flights because they were connecting to go back to North America. So like some people left at 3:00 in the morning, some people left at 6:00. Like we didn't leave, like our flight was like in the middle of the afternoon, so we could stick around, and we didn't leave till like I think 11 or 12 to go to the airport. Our guide was on the same flight as us going back to Rome, so we had her on the ride, and it was nice. And it was fun to kind of chat with her and ask her questions and just get to know her even more. Although you already knew her pretty well. We knew lots about her from the week. And then when we got to the airport, she bought us one of her favorite treats. And we hung out and chatted some more, and then got on the plane and went to Rome. Wow. And we stayed in Rome for 3 nights. Right. Mm-hmm. That was you doing that yourself. Yeah, the Rome extension was just us. So we knew that the week was going to be busy and maybe tiring, so we didn't plan too much. We walked to the Trevi Fountain one day. We had a meal at an Italian restaurant, and I looked it on the map and I picked it because it had the word cat in the Gatti in the name of the restaurant, and it had pretty good reviews. So we walked about 10 or 15 minutes away to the restaurant and had dinner. And then the next day I had pre-booked a private, semi-private tour of the Vatican. So we did that. And in the day, we went on a hop-off bus. We used that to get to the Vatican. Then we went for the Vatican tour because I'm a slacker and I booked so late I couldn't get an earlier tour. So I got a tour at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And it was only, but I wanted it to be semi-private. Like, I'm not going from Adventures by Disney to being on a group tour with like 10 million people. Yeah. So I got a semi-private tour. There was only 6 of us, and thank heavens the Vatican in the Basilica is so busy that like this lady, she scooted us around and got us in and through stuff so quickly. It was so thank God. So it was worth it. So we did that, and then we were done. We got on the hop off bus and went back to our hotel, and we went home the next day.
And the flights home were okay? The flights
home were, yeah, they were fine and nothing too out of the ordinary. Lucky. Yeah. Nothing. Wow. I watched lots of I didn't sleep very much on the plane. Like, I watched a lot of I watched TV, I watched movies and stuff. So.
You don't sleep a lot on the planes though. No. You're not traditionally like a sleeper on the planes.
Well, on the way there, they have Fox, I don't know if it was Fox or HBO Sport. They had something that was like a sports theme type thing, and they had like a documentary on Shaquille O'Neal. And it was like it was like 4 or 5 or 6 parts, and like each part was like 45 minutes or an hour. I watched every single one, and I know I didn't sleep. Like, I watched all of them, and then and like they feed you on the long flight. So like I think I put on an old like film noir and that I hadn't seen in like from when I was in university, and I might have like snoozed a little bit during that, and then I was up the rest of the time. So I know I didn't sleep much on the way there, and then on the way back I might have snoozed a little bit. But for me, as long as I find something that's interesting that I want to watch, then I don't mind. I was really worried about being on a plane for 8 or 9 hours and being nervous about it, like going over the ocean and all that stuff. Like, I was really like, I was kind of nervous because I hadn't done that before, but it didn't really feel like it was that long. But I think it was because I was luckily, able to find stuff
entertained
to watch to entertain me. So it didn't like, there was things I wanted to watch. So then it kind of flew by. I wasn't feeling anxious or counting down
that's good.
The minutes. So, but yeah.
What an amazing adventure, Carrie.
It was awesome. Like,
wow.
Lots and lots of like at the end we just kept saying wow. Like, we can't the only way that we can summarize it, and I think my mom felt the same way, was just like wow. Like, even when we're like exhausted and up early and lots to do, like there was always something that wowed. And I probably said that in the first episode, like everything wowed, and at the end we were just like wow. Like, wow, the people, the guides, everything.
Well, after hearing it, like, I think we're all saying the same thing. Like, I think you've really given us a great insight into not only what it's like to do an adventure by Disney, but what that kind of trip meant to you, meant to your mom. Like, I think it's incredible, and what an amazing experience to share with her.
It was awesome.
I'm so glad you did it.
I think at the beginning, I don't know if she knew what she was getting into, to be honest. Like, you want to go to Sicily? Okay. Sent her the ABD thing for her to read. She's like, okay. And then a whole year passed. And, and like, I didn't really look too much into detail. So, I went day by day, and she did too. So I don't think that she knew what she was getting into. But yeah, I think so in the end, it all wrapped up together. It was like, it's unbelievable, like the most amazing experience, ever. So,
well, thank you for sharing it with us all, because I'm sure everybody is so glad to hear how it went and what it entailed, and it sounds so amazing. So thank you, Carrie. Thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome. And she's still, so for those, while you're listening, Carrie was sitting on her hands, then she wasn't, then she was. We've been, you know what, like, that's just who she is. Carrie talks with her hands.
I always have.
Yes. And it's kind of funny to watch her when she's trying to tell the story and she's sitting on her hands.
I know I can't. I need to have my hands moving.
Then all of a sudden you see the one arm come out, and then she's talking with one hand, and then the other hand she's still sitting on. But then after a couple seconds, the other one comes out.
I probably should figure out, even maybe down in my craft lab, I probably should maybe set up a studio so that I can actually have a spot where my arms can flail. And you won't touch anything, and I don't make any noise or whatever. I probably should. Like I'm sitting at this little tiny old school desk where I barely, there's no room. So like any move I make, I hit something. I hit the top. I hit the whatever. Like I can't. Like I'm at a very very tiny little desk. So if people could really see what we do to set this up, like it's they would not be impressed. For sure.
Professional podcasters, 201 episodes in, and we're still it's like it's our first rodeo, but that's okay because this is us. Yep. This is us. Okay, Carrie, you got away with it last week. Last week you got away with it, no pixie dust. This week you can't. What brought you joy this week? And now she's choking, so it's.
Well, I'm not choking. I just feel I need to clear up because I was talking so much, and I had to have a swig of my coffee.
Oh, excellent!
It's not easy going cold turkey off cappuccinos. Let me tell you.
Oh, I bet. I bet.
I think when I came home, I just didn't even drink coffee because I was like, "How?" Because
what's the point?
What's the point? And
yeah,
just.
I hear you.
Anyways, so my pixie dust is when I was away, I got a bit of a delivery. So my friend Julia, who I'd been friends with since college, her mother-in-law had moved from a house she had lived in since whatever, long time, 50s,
long time,
like
long
her
time.
the home. Maybe not that long, but the home that she raised her children in and lived in with her husband for many, many, many years. She had all kinds of old furniture. And my friend Julia knows I love things that are retro.
Oh, yes.
And so when I went for dinner, Julia and I, unfortunately, don't go for dinner enough. We might go once a year, twice a year if we're lucky. It's very shameful. I drive past her neighborhood every day that I drive to work. Anyways. So anyway, when we went for dinner last time, she was saying, tell me a story about her mother-in-law moving and whatever. And she was helping her get the house ready for sale. And she was saying about her furniture and whatever. And she's like, oh, Carrie, you'd love this furniture. So she was showing me pictures. And she was saying how when her mother-in-law moves to her new place, she's going to go all fresh. She's going to get all new, right?
Right.
And she said that Julie said that they were just going to put all this old furniture to Goodwill. So what her mother-in-law had in particular that
this old retro furniture, they were just going to put it to Goodwill.
Yes. So if anybody knows retro old furniture, the pieces that my jaw dropped on, and I knew that she had retro furniture because Julie had said like parts of her house is like, she says, you'd love her house. There's teak. She has a teak couch, teak side tables, teak coffee tables, and teak side chairs. Mm-hmm. And she gave them to me. So when I was away, her mother-in-law's new furniture arrived to her new pad, and I got the message that it was ready to get picked up. So I'm beep, 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 texting home. You gotta pick this up. Text Julia. You gotta get this. So when I came home, I had this wonderful retro teak furniture. It is dream furniture to me. And like, you know, the fact that it was going to go and like, you know, it was garbage to somebody else, or not garbage, but you know, it had done its time, right? Like imagine having this furniture forever and being so glad that you get something, you know, fresh or new, like, and not saying like this, she had it probably in her rec room or in the basement or whatever. But it's like a dream come true, like teak wood cushions. Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that is my pixie dust that I was gifted. This wonderful retro furniture. You've got it in your office. So I put it in my office. Now I have the two side chairs are a little too big for my office, so I have to probably move them to the basement now, put them somewhere safe so the cats can't like do whatever they do on everything that we own. But I have the couch and the side tables and the coffee table in my office. So it's going to be like a little office ensuite. So they're beautiful and they're retrorific goodness that they are. So that is my pixie
That's
dust.
awesome. That's awesome,
So,
Carrie.
pretty cool. So how about you? What's
Very
your pixie
cool.
dust?
Well, my pixie dust, why are you laughing?
Okay, go. What's your pixie dust?
My pixie dust is that when we were in Dayton, Ohio, my friend got won a prize that she could pick up off a table, where she got to go to the table and pick something. And Carrie picked up a little Judy Hopps statue for me. And it's actually from that game, like the Disney Infinity, I guess it was called way back when. But it's a little Judy Hopps. And she's on a little statue, and I have her sitting. So when I came home, I put her on my desk. So she's there to remind me every day to try everything. And all week, like there's been some rough days this week, and I just look down and I see my little Judy Hopps, and she makes me smile. So that's my pixie dust. My fabulous friend Carrie got her for me. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, because I thought you might have changed your pixie dust, because at the start of this, you said it was going to be your yogurt.
Oh, I said to you, maybe I'll talk about my yogurt. But I did do it myself. I made my yogurt myself. Well, I didn't make yogurt. I mean, I compiled some stuff in yogurt, just to make it edible. So I got like vanilla yogurt, and then I got some granola, like a box of granola. And then, I got some cherries, or not cherries. I don't know, some kind of berries. No, some kind of berries. But anyway, they were fousty, so I had to throw them out. So I didn't get my berries in my yogurt. But I had some little chocolate chips. I know it defeats the purpose. And like my one of my work husbands would be yelling at me, be like, Fran, why are you eating yogurt if you're going to put chocolate chips in it? But whatever, just a few make it edible. So
I was going to say that, like, if your work husband would be happy that you're putting your own granola in it versus the weird ones you can buy at the store that have all kinds of stuff like that already in it.
Exactly.
Like, it's probably a little bit healthier to put your own granola in it.
I put my own granola in it, and I mixed it all up, and it was pretty good. It wasn't bad. I could eat it.
Like you got Judy and granola.
You know what? It's just been a great week. And what? Carrie.
What?
And we're doing it at the end, which is terrible. But we actually had another review this week. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I sent it to you. But now I can't find it to read it. Here it is. I have it. So we got a 5-star review, and it says, I just found this podcast. Love the great vibes, fun tips, full of joy. Glad I can start to binge now. Nice. And that's Mouse Kate via Apple Podcasts in Canada.
Thanks, Mouse Kate.
Isn't that fun? Yay!
I like your name.
Yeah, and she can binge now too.
But maybe her name is Kate Mouse.
It could be.
Could her name be Kate Mouse?
Maybe.
That'd be a cool name.
Well, if you made it all the way to the end of this episode, thank you for listening, and please leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts if you get a chance. We love reading them. And we'll be back next week with another fun and exciting topic, I'm sure, right?
Let's hope.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.